Okay, William, go ahead.
Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. The unsurpassed, deep, profound, subtle, wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million eons is difficult to encounter. Now that I have come to receive and hold it within my sight and hearing, I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual meaning.
Okay, let's okay, we stop at the lesson that comparison between among the doing a good deed, taking 3 virtue, and 5 precepts, loving kindness, abandon the worldly matter. Yeah. All right, William, go ahead and read.
Here I shall explain how to engage in the vows of the Buddha's sons, the meaning of which I have condensed in accordance with the scriptures. Next comes the traditional promise of composition. It was customary for authors to include such a promise at the beginning of their work to serve as a brief introduction to their intended subject matter. It is Shantideva's intention in this text to present a synthesis of all the paths leading to the attainment of the highest enlightenment, Buddhahood. This is the meaning of Bodhisattva Charyavatara. Bodhisattva Charyavatara. For it is only by engaging in the Bodhisattva's way of life, venturing into the activities of the sons and daughters of the Sugatas, that we can attain this highest goal. There are 2 benefits of studying this. Precious text. The temporary benefit is that we gain an understanding of the entire path to enlightenment, and are thereby enabled to practice it. The ultimate benefit is that by depending upon this text, we will attain the fully enlightened state of Buddhahood. The ultimate benefit depends upon the temporary benefit, and the temporary benefit relies upon the meaning of the text, which in turn relies upon the text itself. This dependent relationship is known as the relationship of the text. Thus, Shantideva's promise of composition in verse 1 indicates that his text has been composed in accordance with Buddha's scriptures and contains the 4 qualities of meaning, temporary benefit, ultimate benefit, and relationship.
So what do you understand from this? You know who we are, Sugata, right?
Yes, the Buddhas.
Yeah.
So this is the first verse, the introductory verse, and it is just explaining what the purpose of the text is. So how to engage in the vows of the Buddha sons, and that is in accordance with the scriptures. So, and then it's talking about how there are these 4 elements of texts where there is, was it the meaning, the relationship, which was like the relationship between the words and the meaning, and then the temporary benefit and the ultimate benefit.
Wow.
The temporary benefit being like understanding the path to enlightenment, and the ultimate benefit being actually, if you rely upon the text, ultimately that you'll realize the ultimate enlightenment. And so the realization of the ultimate enlightenment relies upon the temporary benefit. The temporary benefit relies upon the meaning, and the meaning relies upon the text.
So can you be able to give me an example that when you do you memorize that the flower Dhamma Sutra?
The verse form of the Lotus Sutra. I have the first 2 chapters and a few pages of verse of the 2nd chapter, or the 3rd chapter. Sorry.
So you've been doing this for a while. So what kind of benefit do you get so far?
Well, one, it is something that keeps me, it kind of creates a a tracker of like involvement. So it keeps me involved in that I'm working towards something. So there's a sense of meaning in that working towards something. And I'm going over the text so much because once I memorize it, I have to recite it every week to keep it memorized. And so I am invested. So I don't want to not recite it because I've already put in so much time. So it's like a mechanism to keep me practicing. And then just these gentle reminders, you know, it's since it's in my mind and I'm thinking about it, there are these gentle reminders that will come up during the day in different circumstances. And then when I do it, sometimes I'll just take like 15 minutes before meditating, and it's easy to go inward because I'm not having to read something. So it's a little bit more relaxing than having my eyes reading something. And then when I'm done, like you've talked about how reciting the sutras kind of helps create this sort of pure energy that makes meditation easier. And that definitely is my experience, that it like sharpens my mind and I feel just this good energy.
Yeah. You remember the 3 baskets, right?
Remember the what?
3 baskets.
The 3 baskets, yes. The Vinaya, which is the moral code, the sutras, the things, you know, the teachings of the Buddha, and the Shastras, the commentary on the teachings.
So which one represents for the, and you remember the 3 most important non-outflow study, right? That everyone, when they practice, they need to be able to focus on those 3, and they can be able to attend the other half and so forth. You know what are the 3?
Oh, the 3 studies.
They call it 3 non-outflow study. If I translate correctly.
I'm not sure. It's not like thought, speech, and action. It's not something.
No. That is karma.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
The law, right? The precept. That is the first one.
Oh, yeah. So like that would be the Vinaya, right?
Right, the Vinaya. And what is the second one?
Is it the same as the 3 baskets? Would it also then be the sutras and the shastras?
Yeah, they are the same, but they are different. They have a different name.
Oh, I'm not sure.
The first one is the Vinaya. Second one is the concentration, samadhi, and the third one is the wisdom. This is in Buddhism we call that 3 non-outflow, and it's very important. What does it mean? It means that the one who purely practice, they need to uphold the precept. That is the first one they need to do. If the one who do not uphold the precept, they cannot have the right samadhi or concentration, right? And therefore they do not have the right wisdom. So you have to do this first, then you get the second one, and do to the second one, you get the third. You cannot skip. It's in that order. Does it make sense?
Yes.
And this is the most important. Whoever claim themselves that they are attend Arahat or the Holy One, if they do not uphold the precept, and they are not the Holy One, they're not the Arahat. Because if we violate the precept, therefore the mind will not be pure samadhi. Does it make sense?
And that, it does make sense, definitely for, you know, someone like myself, or, you know, another average person. For those who aren't claiming that they are arhats, but have, you know, they've realized enlightenment, aren't there some examples where where they don't uphold the precepts. Like I think it's mostly bodhisattvas, like sometimes will, in order to like follow the spirit of the precept, they actually break the precepts.
There is a condition, there an exception. Yeah, they do have exception. For example, when we let's say that we we are the the lay person, right? We have to uphold the 5 precepts, right? Let's say that the lion, right? Sometimes let's say that the hunter want to kill the deer, right? And the deer went into our house to avoid killing. And the hunter come and ask us, "Did you see the deer?" And they say, "I don't know. I saw it run this way." Instead of point into the house, point the other way. That violate the precept.
In one sense, right? Yeah, it's not telling the truth, but in the other sense, it's protecting the life of the animal. So it's out of compassion that he's not telling the truth.
So basically, remember the precept, the whole idea of the precept to prevent us from harming others and harm ourselves. The precept is not like it's not the one to tie our hand and our feet. You understand? So yes, we break the precept, but it doesn't mean that we break the precept, because out of compassion we save the animal. If we tell the truth, that means they kill the deer, right? And that means we even worse, right? We commit karma, right? It's an indirect killing, commit the killing, right? So yes, there are the certain time we have to do that, but we have to be very careful, and we have to be very wise when we deal with this thing. Don't try to reasoning by the emotion or by the worldly mind. You understand? We have to be guided by the wisdom, not by the intelligence. Right. So there is no exception. The one who claim themselves to be the Arahant, but they do not uphold the precepts clearly. They do not really represent. To my understanding, I don't think they are the one who really attend the Arahant, because in order to have the proper samadhi, you need to uphold the precept. For yes, the precept we do also have the exception, include exception. You understand? Then this one, because think about this, the one who enlightened and pure, right? They are represent for the pure conduct. They are the role model. If we say that we do not uphold the precept, we'll be able to attend Arahant, and that doesn't make sense. And you know what? The Buddha Dharma no longer exists in the world. Remember, in order for the Dharma to be survive in this world, you know, our big three, which one is the most important?
Oh, okay. Well, the precepts are the foundation of realization. So if you can't really have the others without the precepts.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So the Buddha said that in order to prolong the Buddha Dharma, the foundation of the precept have to be upheld. The monk and the nun, as long as they still be able to uphold the precept, the Buddha Dhamma still exists. If they do not, the Buddha Dhamma eventually extinct. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So this is important. That's why when before the Buddha, on the night the Buddha said that tonight I will enter the peri-nirvana, right? Remember the word, the rate, the nirvana. And the Ananda asked 4 questions. When the Buddha after the Buddha entered into the nirvana, how do we distinguish the Buddha Sutra and the non-Buddhist scripture? You know what is the word that distinguish the Buddha, the Buddhist scripture and the non-Buddhist scripture?
Well, I think of the 4 seals, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's
no. Not about the seal, not about the seal. The word at the beginning of the sutra. Oh,
the words at the beginning of the sutra.
Third I have. Third have I heard. Remember?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That is the one. That is represent that the Buddha. This is the Buddha's scripture. This is the Buddhist scripture. Third have I heard. That means I in this one. It represent who? Who is I represent for?
Isn't it whoever's writing the text or?
No. Jimmy, and Jimmy, are you there?
Dạ, mô Phật bà thầy.
Okay, you remember that the difference between the Buddhist scripture and the non-Buddhist scripture? What is the difference at beginning?
Beginning that when the Buddha say I, that means that he the one presented.
No, third half I heard. Remember?
Yes.
And what is the I representing here?
The Buddha.
No, not the Buddha.
Anand.
Anand, right? Ananda. Anand. Anand, he's the most closest attendant to the Buddha. And you know what? He have the perfect photographic memory, right? And Ananda, when the Buddha attend the environment, right? He was born, right? Ananda was born at that time. And you know what? And later on, Buddha specifically select Ananda to become his closest attendant, right? And Ananda have a beautiful virtual conduct. That's why he been selected. And the wonderful about him is he have a perfect memory. Whenever he heard the word, right? Any word go through his ear, he never forget. Just like a drop of water, it drop into the bottle. All the water, if you put into the bottle, it will not go out, right? It's just the same thing. So, and he remember all the Buddha Sutra. And what about the Sutra that he have not heard, right? That means when the Buddha enlightened and he was not there yet, and the Buddha spoke a lot of Sutra before he became Ananda became the physical. So, and later on, when he accept the offer from the Buddha to become his closest attendant, he said to the Buddha, I would like to hear all the sutra that you teach in the past. And the Buddha said that, okay, I will either myself to repeat it to you, or the heaven being will repeat it for you, or the other disciple repeat it for you. So he be able to recall all these things. Therefore, and the third I heard, I it represent Ananda. I have heard. You understand? I have heard. That's what the difference between Buddhist scripture and non-Buddhist scripture. And the first time after the first council that all the 500 Arahats got together for the first time to compile the sutra, the Vinaya, and the Satra, right? The Ananda was selected for the sutra and Satra due to his perfect memory. And Upali, Venerable Upali was represent for the Vinaya. You remember that? Okay. So the second question here, when the Buddha, he asked the second question before the Buddha entered into the Nirvana. It's, after the Buddha passed away, who will be our teacher? And you know what the Buddha said? The precept will be your teacher. Follow the precept. The beautiful of the Buddhism is he do not dedicate a single person to oversee every the whole sangha. No, there is no hierarchy, just like in Christian or Catholic. That is the beauty, because Arahat or the one enlightened one is supposed to be no self, right? Attached to no, do not attach to the self. That means become no self. If we have a hierarchy, and that means what kind of we go against the principle of the Buddha teaching. But of course, we do have the within the temple. Of course, we should have the head of the temple. That's no more. Better leader. Okay. Anyway, so so the precept is so important in Buddhism. Without the precept, you cannot get the samadhi. And without the right samadhi, you cannot have wisdom. So the precept is the foundation of everything. The only one who do not need to uphold the precept is the direct Bodhisattva, because their mind was supreme, right? They worship here because they never create any bad karma anywhere. They never have any unpure thought, and that means they don't need to uphold the precept. The precept only applicable to us. For example, in this world, right, when the government they build the prison. And remember, the jail or the prison only applicable to the one who commit the crime. It's not applicable to the one who do not commit any crime. Does that make sense? Yeah. So just remember, whoever said that I have attended the Arahat, and you know what and you see the way his conduct, and you will know he is or he is not. And the one who claims, that means he is not. Remember, Arahat never claimed himself as an Arahat. Yeah. Okay, that's good. So, in this thing here, and when you memorize the sutra, right? It helps you to concentrate. Easily have a good concentration. That fall into the concentration of samadhi. Does it make sense?
Yes.
And also when we have the great teaching like the Buddha teaching, right? It inspires our mind, right? It uplifts our spirits. Very uplift. Right? If the people who are who in not a good mood, right? But very down emotional down, right? But if they be able to hear the compassion word, they be able to uplift themselves. I remember that before the week that I ordained to become the monk, the Bodhisattva, right? We recite the adornment flower sutra for the whole week. And the beautiful thing about the adornment sutra is in the adornment sutra, it's the way of Bodhisattva, the life, the way of Bodhisattva life. And they have a lot of beautiful words. It's very inspiring or uplift our spirits. And it's easier for us to open our heart and our mind and to embrace others. And that's why when you read the Mahayana Sutra, that's for that purpose. The difference between Mahayana Sutra and the Theravada, that is the difference there. Right? Okay, that's good. And that's why he said in here that he based on the word, he'd be able to I remember maybe the book before this, maybe I don't remember. He said based on the word, he'd be able to inspire himself, to be able to uplift himself. That's why just like when we read the Mahayana Sutra, we uplift ourselves. We motivate ourselves, even though we can not be able to do just like the Bodhisattva do, but at least we can inspire ourselves. That is the most important. And that's what we, this is the initial Bodhicitta, the initial state of Bodhicitta. Jimmy. Jimmy, are you there?
Yeah. Move up, Bataya.
Answer number 2, please. Thank you.
Sure.
The reason for the composition. Okay.
The excellence and benefits of Bodhicitta. There is nothing here that has not been explained before, and I have no skill in the art of rhetoric, therefore lacking any intention to benefit others. I write this in order to acquaint it to my mind, for to acquaint with what is wholesome. The force of my faith may for a short while increase because of these words. If, however, these words are seen by others, equal in fortune to myself, it may be meaningful for them. Next, Santideva explains what his reasons are for composing this text. He admits that it will not contain anything that has not been explained before. Also, since he has no skill in the art of rhetoric or poetry, he has no intention of benefiting others who have already understood the teaching of Buddha. Rather, he wrote this text that his own virtue would increase his own understanding of the scriptures would not decline, and his own mind would become better acquainted with the meaning of the scriptures. He goes on to say that through the power of his faith, compositions, and wisdom, he will explain the meaning of all the scriptures. And thus, his own realizations will increase for some time. He hopes that if others equal in good fortune to himself were to behold this text, it would prove meaningful for them as well. This concludes the preliminary explanations. With verse 4, Santideva begins his presentation of the actual path to the followed by those wishing to enter the Bodhisattva's way of life.
So what do you understand?
Yes, how I understood is he doesn't have a great writing and compose what the text on the scriptures mean, but he has the wisdom that equal fortune for himself to able benefit others.
But when he said that he have no skill in art, in writing, or what does that mean? He really have no skill?
No, it's not. It doesn't mean that what that mean by he doesn't have a skill.
And he said, lacking any intention to benefit the other. Is that really he doesn't want to benefit the other?
No, he does want to benefit others 100%.
So why he said like that in the opposite way?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't know why.
Okay.
I need to research more deeper or something before I'm able to answer. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. So, William, what did you think?
I was wondering the same thing. The commentary was implying that, or saying that he's saying he's not having intention to benefit others because everything that he's going to say has already been explained, and he doesn't have any special skill, like think that he's great at explaining it better than, the Buddha or other people who have explained it. So he's taking this position of humility where he's saying that, I'm not thinking that I'm so great so I can say this better than other people have said it. I'm creating this to acquaint my own mind, like in the practice. So, but what what the practice is that he has clear is, the Bodhisattva way. So in benefiting himself, meaning that helping himself, like strengthen his faith and, support his practice. Well, that in and of itself is helping other people. So I think he's just being humble about the text.
He humble. Basically, this is the way that he put in the writing. It's very humble, right? Just like when in the sutra, in many sutra, when you see the Bodhisattva want to ask the Buddha, right? Or when the Buddha asked him to ask the Bodhisattva to explain the verse to the assembly, and what the Buddha said, no, but the Bodhisattva always say, I will rely on the power of the Buddha in order for me to explain the teaching, right? That is the way to express the humbleness. It doesn't mean that Bodhisattva himself cannot do it, but they always say that because the Buddha at the present, right, was present at that moment. And they have to say that rely on the Buddha, the power of the Buddha, they can be able to convey the teaching. And that is a beautiful humbleness. And you will see it many Many like this in the Mahayana scripture. And we learn from the Bodhisattva like that, and that in here the same thing. The same thing. He said that of course there are in the sutra many different commentary already talk about the Buddhist teaching, right? And that's why that all there nothing here have not been explained before, right? But remember, each one of us when we using using the Buddha teaching to explain, yes, we also rely on others, but we also are using this to be humble, so we don't show our ego to show our the arrogance. Right? So and um, and he's very skillful. He's very if you look at the history, and when he wrote in the and you know where he you already read the introduction, right, and where this come from in the University of uh, Nalanda, remember Nalanda? And remember at the time when and you know what, the way he practiced is very very what do you call, he secretly practiced, right, and he did not show off, right, and that's why other the other people look at him, they just like eat and sleep, right, and therefore they challenge him, remember, yeah, they challenge him that they want to set up the place that to ask him to attend ascend to the seat and try to recite the old teaching, right, or invent a new one or whatever, right, and they try to make him embarrassed. And you know what? He said that, well, I don't know anything, but when he go up there, and they don't even know how he got there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they build a city very high, and try to embarrass him, but he'll be able to get there without problem. And when he sit on the seat, and he said that, do you want me to recite the old one, or you want me to recite the new one? And they said that the new one. And this is the Bodhi. And he had three different books, right? The first one is very long. The second one is very short. And this one is in between, in the medium side. And they would be this is the one that he decided. And the last word of his voice about this one, the last verse of this one, he already his body is already lift up into the sky, right? And eventually he vanished and he disappeared in the sky, and his voice still be heard by the assembly for the last verse. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, how could he say that he have no skill?
Oh, and you mean where he says no skill in rhetoric?
Uh-huh.
Isn't rhetoric or rhetoric? It's just like the art of writing, like explaining things in words. Like wouldn't that be different than I mean disappearing and like floating in air and disappearing?
No.
Clearly that skill.
No. He recite while he his body is floating into the sky. Remember?
Yeah.
He
That's
recite the whole thing, right? He invent the whole thing, and he recited the whole thing. How could he say that he did no skill?
well. I mean, you could say if there's no self, there's no one to have skill. So you could
Oh, no,
accurately
no.
say, I have no skill because there's no self to have skill.
No, in here, I don't think that is the direction he go with that. But well, yeah, he very humble. Basically, the humbleness, humbleness. And when he wrote this, he have intention to benefit others. But he said that lacking any intention to benefit others. This is just a humble, very humbleness. So that's great. And remember, he said that using this word, right, to acquire it to his mind, to inspire himself. Hopefully, other people will have the same fortune, right? So,
Tay, I wonder if maybe, I don't speak Tibetan, so I couldn't really couldn't find out unless I dug into it quite a bit, but maybe expectation would be a better word for the translation than intention then. Because if he lacks any expectation to benefit others, I think that would make more sense and would still retain humility because he's not expecting they'll be benefited because he doesn't see himself as
okay.
great. But he still intends, he still wishes to benefit others by writing it. I mean, I guess I would think.
Okay. The expectation that maybe that fits into this context, but yeah, because you look at the title, right? The title is a guide to the Bodhisattva way of life, right? That already is already speaking about the benefit of others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, whatever the context is, it's just humble. And Jimmy, you understand that? And Jimmy?
Yeah, more but yes, I do.
And remember when you recite you memorize the Lotus Sutra, right? And you keep repeating this thing over and over again, it will help you to increase your realization. This time, do you experience that?
Yes, yeah, understanding some of the more nuanced aspects of it, or even just kind of raising questions that I hadn't thought of before. Yeah.
This time you recite, you will have a different understanding. Okay? Maybe sometimes you have more understanding or different aspect of understanding the one that you haven't think about. Right? So it's good. That's really good. So basically, it's really good. Okay. All right, William, go ahead and do this one.
Okay.
Read the title. Read the green color first.
The exhortation to grasp the significance of this precious human life. Original verse. Leisure and endowment are very hard to find, and since they accomplish what is meaningful for man, if I do not take advantage of them now, how will such a perfect opportunity come about again? Shantideva begins by reminding us that we now have a rarest and most precious possession, a fully endowed human life. In contrast to the overwhelming majority of beings in the universe, including most of our fellow human beings, we have the opportunity to do something truly meaningful with our lives. We are free of certain restrictions and in possession of certain abilities and beneficial circumstances that make it possible for us to attain goals far beyond the reach of most beings. But if we do not make use of our present existence in the most worthwhile manner possible, it will be extremely difficult to gain such a beneficially endowed human life again. To appreciate these points more fully, we must acquaint ourselves with the following detailed analysis. First of all, why is our present state of existence considered to be so rare and difficult to attain?
What do you think?
Well, the audience that's listening to this, the expectation is that they already have a familiarity with the core teachings of the Buddha. And the Buddha talked about how rare it is to just be born as a human, let alone, be born as a human with all of the different like prerequisites necessary to study the Dharma. And in Tibetan Buddhism, like in Patrul Rinpoche's The Words of My Perfect Teacher, the beginning of it, they actually go over all of those different criteria. So one of the things that the example the Buddha gave was like the likelihood of attaining a human life is the same likelihood of a turtle that lives at the bottom of the ocean of a planet that's like made entirely of water, like I think like the earth made entirely of water. If it comes to the surface every 100 years, the chance that it should happen to put its head through a wooden yoke just big enough for its head, that's floating around and being dashed about by waves on this entire planet. And then there's the other example where they start with like, if the number of humans is like, what is it? It's like, because they use the stars in the sky. Oh, no. If the number of humans is like the number of stars you can see during the day, then the number of animals is like the number of stars you can see at night. And if the number of animals is like the number of stars you can see at day, then the number of hungry ghosts is like the number of stars you can see at night. And so he goes on just to show like how rare humans are at all. But yeah.
Okay, you can read this one right here. Oh my God. Here's another one. Okay, here's the one. Yeah. Go ahead and read this one, please.
Okay. Hatsavasti, the Buddha, picking up a little bit of sand on his fingernail, addressed the bhikkhus. Monks, yeah. What do you think, bhikkhus? Which is more, this little bit of sand on my fingernails or this great earth? Bhante, the great earth is far more. The little bit of sand on your fingernail is teeny. Compared to the great earth, those cannot be compared or even imagined. It is not even a significant fraction. In the same way, bhikkhus, the sentient beings reborn as humans are as few as this little bit of sand on my fingernail, while those not reborn as humans are as many as sand on this great earth. Therefore, you should strive diligently and without delay to end this suffering in the rebirth process.
So how do we prove this teaching?
Well, people will always be able to have doubt. There are things that can certainly be suggestive, where we talk about the relative number of like insects versus humans, let alone like ants. There are so many more ants than there are humans, just so many more. And all of the other insects, especially like ones that are just underground alone, there are so many. So we can see that there are, so many more animals than humans. How can you prove to someone? It's a little tricky, but you kind of, if they're doubting reincarnation, there's like multiple different things I think that have to come in other than just the number of human beings. Because the different things about like, well, why do human beings come in with different blessings? If there wasn't something that came before, then it wouldn't make sense for someone to have, riches and someone else to be poor. Everyone should kind of be the same in what they come in with. So our degree of blessing speaks of something coming before. So then, it's different things kind of teachings can reinforce the idea of reincarnation. And then just the proportion of humans to animals is the first step of things people can see to understand the rarity of being human.
Can you read the answer?
If you go out and dig a bit of dirt, there could be millions of living organisms there. In a household, there may be a few humans, but possibly billions or even trillions of living beings. The oceans cover 2/3 of the Earth's surface, and the living beings there are much more densely packed. And there are beings in other 24 realms that we cannot see. 7 billion or so humans in this world are indeed a thumbful compared to innumerable beings that live associated with the earth. Thus, as in many cases, modern science has helped verify Buddha's words. The Buddha also teaches his disciples before drinking water, you should contemplate like this. The Buddha sees a cup of water. There are 84,000 bacteria. Now, if we do not recite this mantra, it's like we're eating living beings. Nowadays, we can see bacteria through microscopes.
What do you think?
Well, it's pretty cool that they knew about bacteria back then, because there weren't any microscopes. So the knowledge of bacteria would have to be a spiritual one. Maybe could be deduced by observation, but I mean, it would be very hard. Like, how could you deduce it just by observation? It'd be very,
But you see,
So,
but if we the Buddha wisdom is so wonderful, right?
yes.
So wonderful. Cô Lan, you understand so far what we talked about?
Dạ thưa thầy, chút chút.
So become a human very tough. It's just like in here when the Buddha pick up the little bit of sand right in his fingernail, compare the sand in his fingernail compared to the red earth, which one is more? Of course, the disciple said that the red earth is way far more than the dust in your fingernail. It's unimagined. We can. There's no need for imagine because it's very tiny. So this means that to become a human, just like the dust inside the fingernail, right, of the Buddha, and to become the non-human, it's just like the red earth, the sand in the red earth. That's what the Buddha means. And now we'll be able to use this science to be able to prove. And this would support the Buddhist teaching. Hold on, you understand that so far? Right? Okay.
Dạ thưa thầy, dạ.
Okay, so so basically when we go back here, so we learn about this, we should know how to appreciate the rare human body we have. And we have to take a good care of it to have a good, very meaningful life. Otherwise, the chance that we have, but this human body, when it's gone, we don't know we come back to the same body or even worse, right? The chance is very tough. It's not easy. So we will talk about this more, and we will learn deep into this. So let's stop right here. Okay. Okay, go ahead, William.
May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may their minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light break the darkness of their endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise.
Okay, today we will do the mantra for you. Okay, so I think